Take Charge Tuesday 2, and it's also Guru Purnima today, which is the day to worship our gurus and our teachers, and not just worship them, but really understand the meaning that our teachers have put forth. So of all the days to, study astrology or really sort of get the message, today is a great day to do that, where you can really understand what your teachers mean and what the teachings mean. And I say your teachers, it's just, whatever it is that's guiding you and inspiring you in your life. Those are the things that give our life focus, and those are the things we're following, whether it's a formal guru or not. I mean, I happen to have a guru. You can see right there, I spent some time with her in Toronto last week. So she's literally a guru, a Satguru, which is, she's an enlightened being who has evolved to pure and to total and full awareness, which is what we're trying to do. So that's called a Satguru, which is a guru of life, a guru of full wisdom. Many people, especially Indians, call me guru because I'm a teacher. I'm an astrology teacher. That's not a Satguru. I'm not a spiritual teacher, and I don't purport to be that or want to be that. Your spiritual growth is up to you. I'm not going to... But, of course, because astrology is spiritual, it's definitely spiritual. It leads us to higher spirituality. But a spiritual master, like Amma, is different than a teacher of subjects like me, or like other people that you're involved in, and like you can be. And in fact, we're all teachers, and our highest teachings and our in many ways our highest self comes out as once we step into the role of being a teacher or a guru. It's one of the what's called ashrams of life. See, I have a little Amadal. I got this a couple years ago. It was a very big thing because, I'm a man, and I never grew up playing with dolls or anything like that. And I saw people walking around with these Amma dolls. And I was intrigued. And I said, I wonder what it would do to my... When I got the Amma doll, I had to... I had to buy it at the store, at the Amma program, and there's like thousands of people, so I had to go buy the doll. Then I had to walk around with the doll. And the doll used to have just a white sari. It didn't have this one. I just got these clothes for it. These are Devi Baba clothes. But I had to buy the doll, then walk around with the doll with thousands of people around. Then you take it up to Amma and have Amma bless it. See, she put this vibhuti, or this sandalwood paste, on the doll, so she blesses it. I take it up to her, and then she blesses it, she hugs it, and then she puts this on it. So it's very humbling. It's very good spiritual practice for me to be humbled into buying a doll. So, sharing this with you. Amma's my guru. The only guru I've ever had, really. I studied a little bit of astrology with some teachers years ago. It goes on my altar. So I studied with some of my teachers, or, with a couple teachers several years ago, but then really that just kind of got me used to the language of astrology. But then I really went back into looking at the texts directly, and really just looking at one text, which is Parashara Horasastra. That's the text that's the one that is authoritative, but it's quite dense and complicated if you don't understand all the Vedic principles. But once you do, then you can see that that's the one that really was written by a rishi, and the other ones they came later, and they were written like in the Dark Ages and stuff, that they had a lot of good things in them, but they weren't written by a spiritual master like Amma. Parashara was a Satguru. So then that's when I really started teaching, because before that, you don't really have the confidence yet, or you don't really know why you should be teaching. So I'm telling you this story because that's what you can do as well, and you can really find yourself as well as a teacher by following really pure teachings and really pure teachers. And that's a great catalyst for your greatness in your life. And here on Take Charge Tuesday, that quality of guru and of you being a guru and you being a teacher is very important. And to focusing your energy and your talent towards your greatness. So as I've said, as we're doing here on Tuesdays, we're talking about career and life purpose and all of that more meaningfully. And then on Friday, we're talking more about, on the Friday Friends, we're talking more about relationship and our personal, getting along and enjoying life, I guess you would say. It's part of that. But Tuesday, Take Charge Tuesday, really what we're trying to do in our career and in our work is connect with the highest part of ourself. And unless you unlock your higher teachings and your higher principles and your higher philosophies, you're going to be wavering in that. When I do readings, one of the main things I describe to people is this concept of being willing to sacrifice and to serve something higher than just yourself. That's what a teacher does. And when you do that, when you find a thing that you want to teach and that you want to share that inspires you so much, then your career, quote, becomes that. It becomes it takes on a trajectory of inspiration and inspired purpose and sharing that. And when it's not that, this is the other thing, then there's confusion. Then this is when we get into what should I be doing? What should I be doing? Because instead the career has become about earning money and not about contribution. So on Guru Purnima, it's good to understand and to accept and to reconnect with what inspires you, because that's what teachers are and that's what teachings are. They have to be things that inspire us, and if they're not, then we find another teaching, and eventually we find the thing that really resonates with us. And it doesn't mean that you have to be a teacher like a guru or an entrepreneur or thing like that. It just means you have to find a sense of purpose. And if the way that you're earning your money isn't congruent with your values and your principles, then it's going to create a lot of stress and pain in your life. For instance, if you one second. So for example, many times, and it happens this way, that the thing that inspires us the most is actually, or the highest value and the highest principle is, we have to take care of our family. That's a high value and principle. And that principle can eclipse things like, I want to spread spiritual wisdom, or I believe in this cause. Sometimes, at any given time, our values and principles are more related to things like, I need to feed my family. But then what happens once the family starts to grow, or once you're not necessarily, that amount of effort isn't required, or that amount of sacrifice isn't required, then you start looking for higher meaning. And you see this with people all the time. You see it a lot with women who raise kids, and then once the kids grow up, then what's my purpose? What's my purpose now? What work do I do now that is inspiring and that is changing the world, and that I'm willing to do? This is where a lot of my students come from, and a lot of people that get readings and whatnot. Not just women, but it's often women whose kids start to be old enough to where they don't need mommy anymore to dote over them, and parents should be aware of this instead of trying to just kind of, run their kids' lives. But you see parents who don't understand this, who don't evolve, they still keep trying to run the child's life rather than letting the child run their life, and they find something else to be inspired by. They find another purpose in life. So I'm talking about this again because purpose is one of the biggest factors in what you're going to do for your work. And astrology, if nothing, it's not just about making a bunch of predictions about what should I be doing in my career for the next couple days, which I'll talk about in a minute. One of the main things it shows us is why anything happens. The reason we're willing to sacrifice toward a higher goal and a higher purpose is because of these same Jupiter principles that are happening today on Guru Purnima. So today, and in fact in a few hours, especially, it's getting really close. The moon right now is about, it's barely 1 degree of Capricorn, and the sun is like 3 degrees of Cancer. So in the next few hours, we're going to see, it'll be an exact full moon. So it's pretty exact now, but it'll be exact in about 3 or 4 hours. And the reason it's important is because it's the day to really connect with what inspires us and what we want to teach. And the thing that we find that we want to teach that inspires us is also the thing that we won't give up on. Just like the mother won't give up on the child. The parents don't give up on the child, even though the child is difficult. They don't give up on that purpose of providing for the family, because that purpose is bigger than them. That purpose is bigger than their happiness. That purpose is bigger than their comfort zone. That purpose is bigger than the amount of money they might be making. They're willing to not make as much money if they could do this thing that's great. Again, this is the real axis around which that wheel turns. It doesn't turn around things like, when you look at the chart, what will I be good at? Like, these are the things that people get when they get readings with me and they want to do a career reading. They act like they're confused, and I'm saying they act like they're confused because they've forgotten, and I usually very quickly focus them back on what inspires them, because that's the only thing that they're not going to give up on. Because people wind up giving up on all of these other things. They won't see them through. They'll say, well, I'm thinking of, maybe doing some internet marketing, but I'm also, I had this knack for accounting, but, also, I've dabbled in real estate a little bit. So, I'm just confused about, what kind of work, what should I be doing in my work? And I'm like, the reason you're not clear is because you don't want any of it. You're not inspired by any of it. So that's very important. You want to be really focused on that and really connect, especially today. Look for some real messages about what inspires you and what you're willing to sacrifice for, because that's where your real greatness is. And that's what this cycle is about. So where we're at right now, we have Mars and Saturn are back in Scorpio. Again, if you have some questions or comments, you can ask them. That's one of the things about having the live video, is if you want to ask some questions, you can, of course. So we'll talk about some of the astrology for the next week or so. Mars and Saturn are back in Scorpio. And so again, that one of the things that's really good for is working hard in this way. Meaning Scorpio is a sign, it's ruled by Mars. And anytime Mars and Saturn come together, it's actually good that we take on some kind of challenge, take on some difficult work. Because that's what Mars and Saturn do. That's what the tamasic planets do. They take on difficult work. They take on difficulty. And so if we don't have any if we're not doing big things, then we just wind up finding problems. You should think about this really closely. Have you ever heard the statement, You need more important problems. You see people that obsess over things that are just not important. They're kind of looking to make trouble. And you think to yourself, don't you have anything else to do but to sit here and make trouble? Like find something to, find something else to focus this energy on. Find something important to do, right? This is true. And so when you get Mars and Saturn together, we're going to be looking to destroy something. So if you don't have something big to do, you're gonna destroy something like your friendships, or you're gonna be you won't have an outlet for that intensity. Like I already know in my life, because I have a lot of responsibility, I have a lot of work, that I have plenty to do. When Mars and Saturn come together, it's not like it's always so pleasant, but I already know that I already have a lot of challenges to take on because of my work, whether it's doing this thing or doing that thing or building this thing. And when they come together, there's a lot of energy focused toward that. If it's not, then you're focusing your energy on just getting frustrated and jealous, or just conjuring up drama. So again, these two planets are going to be together through early September. Someone asked the question, what can we expect with Mars and Saturn conjunction on August 23rd? What do you expect? What do you think? It's going to be intense. So it can be intense in a lot of ways. Look at what's already happening. So instead of making predictions like we're going to have another terrorist attack, or there's going to be another this or this, it's going to be this kind of stuff. So of course, as Mars and Saturn get closer, there could be much more explosive stuff. We could definitely see another big terrorist event or something like that for the next month and a half. So no big revelation there. If you can ask the question, then you can kind of get the answer. What can we expect? Well, you could expect that. Let me look at what happened since Mars went back into Saturn, went back into Scorpio. We had that Nice attack, and we had a coup in Turkey, both like right next to each other, as soon as Mars went back into Scorpio. And as it was happening, we had these cop shootings right as it was at the edge of Libra. We had the cop shootings and the cops shooting people, those 2 days, where one day after the next, we had two civilians shot by cops with the cameras rolling. And then we had the attack in Dallas. We just had another shooting in Baton Rouge where cops were shot. We had the thing in Nice. We had the coup in Turkey. All kinds of things changing, and we're going to see it continue. We could see quite a bit of social unrest over it as well. So this is a dangerous time. So one of the things that's happening, again, when you want to be talking about just the combination of factors now, as it relates to, especially with your work and things like that, Jupiter, Rahu are still in Leo, and they're going to be in Leo through the middle of August. And again, this is the final few weeks of getting really clear about your purpose, because Jupiter going through Leo has been very big about wanting to connect us with our purpose. And because Leo is a very inspired sign, and Jupiter is the teacher. It's the things that inspire us. And the reason Jupiter is related to children, and I use the example I used earlier about children giving us a sense of purpose and meaning, which later translates into our contribution and usually our career and our vocation, is because children inspire us. This is how the planets work as karaka, or as an indicator. They didn't just pull this out of a hat. It's because Jupiter is the guru and the teacher and the thing that inspires and motivates us to do our best and to do good. And when we're around children, that naturally wakes up. We naturally just do it. But again, if we're just looking for children to inspire us, then we need to be surrounded by children, which, again, then it's kind of like we're just, we're not really generating it ourselves of our own accord. But how that evolves later is we connect with a higher purpose and a higher teaching. And so with Jupiter in Leo, it's been a great time the last year or so to really get clear about what motivates and inspires us, and what we're willing to commit to, and what we're willing to sacrifice for, what we're willing to step up and serve. Like a great guru, a great teacher is a servant of their students. They serve the students. Once there's a student who shows that sincere, innocent desire to learn, the teacher can't resist. Like, you can't resist it. You have to do everything you can to try to teach them. And so, again, it's actually the same kind of thing that a parent does with a child. And ultimately, we have to serve that. If we're not serving that in our work, then we're going to be unfulfilled at some point, because it's not going to be where our best comes through. So these last couple weeks of Jupiter in Leo are very big for this. Get clear about it. And right now, also for the next week, for the next couple weeks, we have these planets in Cancer. So, and that's Sun, Mercury, and Venus. In particular, Mercury will be in Cancer for the next week. Venus for about the next 10 days or so. But Mercury, Venus in Cancer, both quite creative. So it's a time to really express yourself creatively. Put together creative materials that can help you in your work, like if you're an entrepreneur or even wherever you work. Mercury, Venus together in Cancer helps you put together things and creative materials, presentations that can connect you with others. And again, the reason we really flourish in our job and in our work is because we help others. There's just, you flourish and benefit in life, especially monetarily, because your money comes back commensurate with how much value you give. It's about values. The 10th house is what's called an Artha house, a house of value. Starts with the 2nd house of your personal values, goes to the 6th house of how much you're willing to sacrifice for those values, and then it ultimately goes to the 10th house, which is the impact your values have on the world. But you notice between the two is the sacrifice and the service and the hard work and effort that you're willing to put forth. So the value that you can give to others is important, and Mercury, Venus in Cancer shows where you're very attuned to your own intuition and your own emotions and your own heart, and wanting to connect that with others. By effectively communicating with them, which is Mercury, and bringing, joy, comfort, and beauty to them, which is Venus. And the Sun is also still there. So again, that's a big advantage for the next week or so. These are things I'm doing right now. Look for in the next couple days, I'm starting a new video series for my certification course next year. So those of you who are waiting, and there are several of you, when can I register for the course? It'll be very soon. Right now, I'm doing exactly what I'm telling you. Doing a lot of work, Saturn, Mars, and Scorpio, rather than fighting with some people, because I could be fighting with some people right now. I'm not fighting with them. I'm like, sorry, can't fight with you. I have other work to do. I have to focus on my work, Mars, Saturn, and Scorpio, rather than Mars, Saturn focusing on some crazy situation that I don't feel like focusing on, some intensity. Meanwhile, I'm creating some beautiful things to give to my students or to the world. Mercury, Venus in Cancer, that I also love. So you need to connect with your heart as well. And it's congruent with my inspiration's purpose, which is Jupiter in Leo. So this is what I'm doing. I do walk the talk, and I told you this is how I use astrology in my life every day. I'm not just saying it. I pay attention to what's going on. And the last thing I'm looking to do, and I will tell you this right now, the last thing you should be looking to do right now is take on a lot of drama with people over the next month and a half while Mars and Saturn are both in Scorpio. Do not do it. It's just not the time to do it. It's the time to work on yourself. It's the time to face your own drama. It's the time to face your own shortcomings personally. Keep all of that intensity and pain to yourself and use it to be a catalyst for your greatness, for some great work that you can do and all of that. That's what it's supposed to be for. We're supposed to hold on to that tamasic energy for ourselves, not throw it on others. We're supposed to keep the Saturn-Mars stuff to ourselves, our fear and our anger, our control, our aggression. We're supposed to keep that to ourselves and use it to purify ourselves and to strengthen ourselves. But instead, because it's hard to hold it, we throw it on others. We dump it on others. We say, I'm going to dump my fear and anger onto you because it's too hard for me to hold it to myself. So what can we expect Mars-Saturn on August 23rd? Between now and then, we can expect to be tempted into doing a lot of this. As it gets closer, it could get more intense. In the world, we're going to see a lot of that. So instead of it being, personal, it's social. So, so and then the next week, as the moon goes through Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, this is the section of the zodiac where there's a lot of duty, responsibility, purpose. The full moon is in Capricorn, and then it moves into Aquarius, which is very much about your higher contribution socially, right? Capricorn is first about, again, it's the feminine reflective quality of Saturn. So first with Saturn energy, we have to face our shortcomings first. We have to feel them emotionally and psychologically. And we feel that pain and that stress in Capricorn. And we have to make peace with it within ourselves first. Until you've made peace with your own fears and stresses and worries, and you really make a commitment to your own solitude and your own personal growth, then you're not going to know what to contribute and share with the world. Because contributing and committing and sharing something bigger than yourself with the world is the Aquarius equation. Because that's where we make a commitment, Saturn, to something more social, more impersonal, more universal, which is the air sign of Aquarius, that fixed air. So these next couple of days with the moon in Capricorn is a time to get silent and quiet, connect with the inner guru, which is a reflection of your outer guru. Then the next 2 days, and again, look over the forecast each day, but on Friday and Saturday, the moon will be in Aquarius. So Friday and Saturday, these are good days to really look at putting more out there in the world, especially with your causes and those things that you want to serve. And then Sunday, Monday, the moon is in Pisces, so that's very much about being re-inspired, but it's more of a mystical exploration and inspiration and creative inspiration, and also very devotional. So again, these things all have a correlation to your work and to your purpose. I'm always adjusting, messages that are congruent with these kinds of things, and also when I'm interacting with people, remembering where the moon is, remembering what the nakshatra is. Again, look to the daily forecasts as an indicator for that, because that's why I write them. And then, of course, like next Tuesday, then the moon goes into Aries again, and next Tuesday will also really start a new cycle, because anytime the moon goes back into Aries, then we get that enthusiasm and passion of starting a new cycle. So we're actually letting go of a cycle this week, because Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, these are the last 3 signs of the zodiac, and it's where we're being challenged to have greater maturity and then surrender. Maturity is Saturn. First there's emotional maturity, which is Capricorn. Then the way we really express that emotional maturity is to share without worry or without self-involved, selfless sharing in Aquarius. And then ultimately in Pisces, we let go of all of that. Because in Aquarius, we're still about me as a participant in the world and me as part of the universal, as part of the collective. But in Pisces, then we even let go of that. Then it's not even me as part of the collective. I'm not even there. I'm just a metaphysical universal being. That's the end of the zodiac, the way it works. So, some things to chew on for the next week. And hopefully this can help you sort of take charge of your message a little bit, especially relative to where we're at right now with Guru Purnima. Honor your teachers, honor the teacher within, connect with what inspires you, very important to evolving your swadharma, which is your personal, purpose and meaning. That's what you're really looking for in your career and in your work anyway. Whatever your work is, whether you don't have to be a great teacher, whatever it is, wherever you're going in your life, you have to be a representative of your teachings. And, we all have many different purposes. I did a reading yesterday. His purpose was, restaurants, right? And again, it wasn't, you can look at a restaurant as a way to make a lot of money, which he was very successful at running them. But when we had the conversation, he was doubting himself because he was also in business with his brother. And it turned into this whole complicated thing. And he's like, so I'm not really sure. I'm thinking of just selling it and doing it and going into some other direction and doing this. And it was very clear in his chart that his purpose was things like restaurants, like that kind of environment. It's very easy to forget why that would be in keeping with his higher purpose. So I just said very, very plainly that and actually the reason is because he had a bunch of planets in Cancer in his natal chart. And I said, one of the problems that happens when we get into running a business is we forget to make sure to do the work that makes us feel good. You can be so bogged down on ordering stuff and doing this and that. When's the last time you just greeted people as they walked in the door, or just kind of, made some food, or just did some of the work, because that's the reason you're doing it, I can tell, because you have these planets in Cancer. It's really part of your purpose to make people feel welcome, to make people feel good, to give people a beautiful place to come and enjoy their evening. There are travelers there, to make them feel at home away from home. And just talked about these things for 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes. I mean, I don't know, about that long, I said some things like that, and then I described it a little bit because of his chart, and it changed the whole thing, the whole reading. His whole reading was about how he was so confused about his career. It took me 10 seconds to say something like that, and he's like, yeah, you're right. And then the whole reading then stopped being about that, because we got very clear right away, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You've just forgotten that that's actually what it is, and you need to just reconnect with yourself rather than getting bogged down in all the busyness of life, all the busyness of what it is you think you're supposed to be doing. And plus he was very lost in ambition, because he had a lot of those planets are in the 11th house, which is worldly ambition rather than service, so we can get confused. So anyway, all I'm saying, I'm just saying this in the end here because you're probably very much, whether it's some big thing, you're probably very close or doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Thinking that maybe you're not is because you're not focusing on the right part of it. It can happen with me too. I mean, I have a lot of things that are, it might seem like it's easy for me to stay inspired because I'm always teaching but for instance, doing this, what I'm doing right now, is actually part of the same thing. This is me walking the talk like I told that guy. Because after this, now I have to do a lot of things. Many of them don't have to do with astrology. Some of them do. But a lot of them have to do with, making videos or doing other things that it's like, God, I thought I wanted to do astrology. So I have to make sure to keep connecting with people and not just doing it in some abstract way, but in a tangible way where I can actually connect. Maybe it doesn't have to be every single day, but have enough contact and connection with students directly where I'm not just maintaining a kind of business, because we can get bogged down in that. So, again, this is a good time to remember all of those things in Guru Purnima. Remember what inspires you. Remember how that inspiration is fueling your life where it should be. And how your greatness comes out, your best comes out when you're in that situation. And that's what we're really trying to do in our career and in our work, is give our best. Share the best we have. Because when we share the best, we have to step into the best. We have to step into the best version of ourselves, no matter what else is happening. No matter what other dramas are going on or all of our character flaws, we at least can show up in this situation. We show up with our best. And we have to do that we have to do that no matter what the job is. We don't go to the job and start like trashing everybody, or else we wouldn't have the job very long. So ponder the kind of circular relationship between your work, your teachings, what inspires you. And if you're looking to be more inspired by your work, start by being inspired by whatever work you're doing right now. And then ponder that a little bit. So anyway, that's enough. I started, 36 minutes. I thought it'd be about 25. Because I'm inspired by this, I keep going. So that's how you can tell you're doing something that you love, or that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, is that you can't do it enough. Like, you love doing it, and it doesn't drain you when you do it. So, all right, I got to get back to work, right? So anyway, I hope you have a great day, and leave me some comments, ask some questions if you like.